A couple of weeks ago, we met with the UVU Sandbox team Ember to learn more about their company. Today, they are giving us an update on what they have been working on.
So this is Porter. He messaged me maybe a month ago. He was actually asking a question about venture, and during the conversation, I asked him like, "Hey, are you interested in joining like a startup and finding your way with us?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." Took him one meeting, and he was interested, and he joined on. He's gonna help around with sales.
Yeah, so he asked me like if I'd done sales before, and I'd done sales for Vivint for 4 years as a sales manager there. And with entrepreneurship, it just worked really well with me. I've been looking for a startup to join. I basically grew up in an entrepreneurship like household. My parents are serial entrepreneurs, so it's something that just comes really naturally to me. So I was super interested just to hear more. He didn't even tell me what it was about, but I was just like really curious. And I love solving problems. So what I'll be doing at Ember is just like overviewing like overall sales and marketing strategy and helping us get to market and gain customers.
Since the last time we talked with you, what else is new?
Yeah. So last time we talked about launching our product in the next couple weeks. We tried launching our product, taking it to a few customers, and we realized our MVP is not something that the market needed yet. We needed to build out something a little bit bigger and solve a little more problems than we thought was the real issue. Our problem that we're solving hasn't changed, but the way we're trying to solve it has changed. You want to add on to that?
Yeah, we've just been isolating one specific issue, mostly on how to connect businesses with their sales channels, specifically in the integration aspect. So connecting things to WooCommerce, Amazon, Shopify. That's all kind of collected in PIM already. We're just isolating that one aspect because that's where there's going to be the most value.
Yeah, we realized that data housing wasn't the main issue that we're trying to solve. It's more of the movement of data across platforms to storefronts, ERP, and then their organization.
Yeah, so like for example, we're working on a partnership with some other ERPs and other like APIs, things like that, so we can try to get better at circulating data between us, the storefronts, and then the customers. So that way there's just a free flow of information. We're pulling data from the sales channels, we're pushing data to the sales channels, and then we're giving the necessary information back to the customer, and the customer's giving the necessary information back to us. So it's just making it a lot more efficient and a lot easier for customers to be able to do that, because I know that a lot of the times the hardest part about pushing your product is getting it into the sales channels, and it just takes up a lot of time and a lot of manpower to fit everything into the different integrations.
Tell us about your clients. How are they responding to your product?
Yeah. Well, one of the people we're having really good conversations with, we're in like the early stages of talking about a potential partnership with them. They're an enterprise resource planning tool for e-commerce companies and like consumer good companies. Our first meeting with them, they instantly loved what we were building, and they said yes. Most of our customers that are using our tool has asked for something like this. They just don't know what it is. So if you guys can build it out, we can help sell it on our platform and even like white label it, or I don't know. We're still discussing like what it would look like, how we can provide the most value to them. But we've had some really good validating answers from companies around us.
Yeah, the ideal situation that we'd like to be in is we'd like to be able to partner with other tech companies. That way it just opens their network up to us. That way that we can integrate with that company, and then they can just plug us in to whatever company wants to use the product. But we have also we're still working with consumer goods companies like Teton Sports, for example, is one of them. There's some companies that sell winter gear, especially for winter sports, that we've been talking to as well, and other branding companies. The issue that we've run into when we're trying to find clients, though, is sometimes when we describe the issue, they don't know what we're talking about, or they just don't understand the issue in depth enough. But now that we've decided to focus on pushing things to market, it's just been a lot easier to understand, and people are realizing that they do have this problem because
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a lot more convenient to do what we're doing.
Yeah, we found that tech people understand tech terms better than consumer good people, which has been really helpful.
100% true.
So what are some tech issues that you have seen while building out your platform?
So as we were trying to integrate with a bunch of different companies, they all have their own way of accepting data, and they all have different data that they care about. And that's one of the reasons why something like what we're building is useful, is because the customer doesn't want to do something like this. So if we're able to offer that for them, then that provides a lot of value, but that does come with its tech problems, and that's something that we've been working through. But we are in a good position to be able to do that, being a housing central already. It helps us to move data around to different integrations.
Yeah, the current way companies are trying to solve this issue with like their ERPs and moving this data around is building out like custom workflows through Zapier and making custom apps for each company. And that can be really time consuming for the ERP company as well as for the customer, and taking them a longer time to get onboarded onto that. And so we're trying to solve that solution to make it quicker and more friendly user experience for those companies.
What are some of the highs and lows that you've experienced during the process?
Yeah, I mean, the highs are when we get really good customer validation from companies, and like leaving those meetings, I'm just like on such a high. I call like my brother, I call Michael, I call everyone and be like, man, like this is great. This is what this company wants. They need this. But some of the lows are like when I'm going outdoor knocking with like me and Porter or me and Michael, we're going outdoor knocking to these companies, and there's just like no one there, or like we can't get past the receptionist, or like the person we're talking to isn't the right person, or like they just don't understand the problem after we've been explaining to them for like 15 minutes, and they're like, hey, we already solved this problem normally through Excel, and like we don't see a big deal. We're like, well, you could be doing it better, and a lot of times they just don't get the point across. And those are some of the lows, and after those meetings I'm like, oh man, like we're never gonna make it. But it's been a lot of fun, and no matter what, like even through the highs and lows, like there's nothing else I'd rather be doing.
And something that I think that a lot of people don't realize, just to add on to what Eli's saying, is like, I feel like when we look at entrepreneurs, you just kind of feel like they just arrived there. Like that's kind of just how they've always been. They've always been successful. They've always kind of had that. But just the longer that I've been working on this and that we've been working on this as a team, it's just kind of made me realize that most of the time, a lot of the time, you don't know what you're doing. And you're just kind of figuring it out. Like I like to compare it to like walking through a corn maze. Like when you're just pushing down corn stalks, like you have no idea where you're going. But when you turn around, you know exactly how you got there. And so, but then just when you turn around and try to keep going forward, like things are just kind of hard figuring it out in that aspect, and just trying to narrow down what's the best thing that we can be doing, what's actually going to benefit the company. And sometimes you waste a lot of time doing projects that aren't super important, but that you think are important at the time. But it's just all part of the experience. It really is cool because I feel like I'm learning. That's really the most important part, at least for me, is that I'm learning. I feel like I'm growing. And as hard as it's been sometimes, it's very, very fulfilling and very satisfying.
What are your next steps for going forward?
Yeah, our next steps right now are kind of building a all-in-one integration solution that's on top of our PIM software for ERPs to use and consumer good companies to use, that they don't have to get onboarded fully onto a platform and take all their data there. They can just use our integration, plug it into their ERP, and they have access to all their storefronts and the movement of data within there. That's what we think is our next steps going forward. Obviously, as a startup, things can always change, as we've seen these last couple months.
Yeah, and with the all-in-one API, like there's a lot of complications and issues that come with that. So we're hoping that in the next month or going into next year, we can start getting funding so that we can get more people on the back end. Because building out the integrations is going to take a long time. And Boston's been doing all the heavy lifting with that. So we've been looking at different outlets for finding more software developers, finding ways to outsource the work in a way that's cheap and efficient for us. And then obviously thinking about talking to VC firms to try to get some funding for it. So I think that's all just coming up on the agenda, because that'll just help speed up the entire process. But first we need to have every aspect of the idea at least thought out, as well as hopefully have some potential customers under our belt.
Yeah, I think the biggest goal for us in a general sense is making the process as convenient as possible for the users, so they only have to upload their data once to our platform, and then we kind of take care of it from there. We can send it to the ERP, send it to all the different sales channels that they have. So whatever we can build to help facilitate that, that's kind of what's on our roadmap for now.
For sure. And I think the key here is that we're not just building a company for our customers, but actually with our customers, and we're gathering all the information. We're going to be continuing to build those co-developing partnerships with companies like Luminous, Teton Sports, and we're going to continue building those relationships so we can go to market.
Thank you so much for meeting with me again today. It was really good to hear about your update about what's been going on with Ember these past couple weeks.
Yeah, thanks,
Yeah, it
Anna.
was good meeting with you too.
Thank you. And if you want to check out more about Ember, check out get-ember.com.
Sounds good. Thank you. My name is Hannah Neilson, and I am with the UVU TechBuzz internship team.